I'm Camille Reyes, 42. For 10 years I allowed my mother-in-law, Vivian, to treat our home like her private domain. After my father-in-law's passing, she needed familiarity and settled into our detached guest house. 10 years later, she remained. Zero rent, zero upkeep. Absolute sway over every tradition, every menu, every family portrait. She never shouted. She wielded the gentle barb, delivered with a pat and a sigh. My son, Matteo, learned early to brace for comparison. The other grandkids were my shining stars, my legacies. Matteo was your boy, the dreamy one, or simply overlooked. I told myself it was old-fashioned. I told myself respect for elders mattered. I told myself tolerance was love. New Year's brunch was the rupture. We hosted, my budget, my planning, my fatigue. The sunroom glowed with the crystal Vivian insisted we display. The buffet brimmed with empanadas, fruit sculptures, mimosas I'd risen at dawn to prepare. The cousins tore into gifts with delighted shrieks. Vivian distributed the smartwatches herself, sleek boxes, names etched, latest models. Matteo waited, eyes bright with the fragile hope he carried every year. Vivian pressed a cheap plastic watch into his palm. Here you are, sweetie, she said, already turning. The quality ones are for the true grandkids. 24 adults heard it. No one intervened. My sister-in-law admired her own child's watch. My husband refilled juice. Matteo stared at the watch like it was proof he didn't belong. He didn't cry. He set it down and asked to help in the kitchen. I followed him. He was arranging fruit slices with meticulous care, his coping ritual. Mom, he whispered, am I not true? That question seared permanent lines into my soul. I didn't confront Vivian then. I smiled through cleanup. I thanked her for uniting the family. I waited. That night, after Matteo fell asleep clutching the watch like a verdict, I acted. Vivian had moved in temporarily after her husband's death. She contributed nothing. The guest house was legally separate, own entrance, utilities, address. My name alone on the title. My husband had insisted for privacy. I'd never questioned it. Now I thanked him silently. I changed the guest house locks while she was at her charity luncheon. I boxed her possessions, clothes, photos of her true grandkids, the heirloom vase she'd loaned us, everything labeled, stacked on the driveway. On top, one brief note. Vivian, the guest house is no longer available. You have 72 hours to arrange alternative accommodations. Camille. I updated the security code. I informed the HOA she was no longer a resident. She returned to locked doors and her life in cardboard. The fallout was swift. Frantic voicemails. Texts laced with scripture. A delegation of my husband's siblings demanding I honor thy elder. I didn't debate. I repeated one sentence. She told my son he isn't true family. She no longer lives here. My husband tried hardest. She's elderly. She has no savings. This is heartless. I looked him in the eye. She was heartless to my son on New Year's. Now she learns displacement. He slept in the den that month. Vivian cycled through her children's homes. Each stay shorter. No one wanted permanent rule from the woman who'd spent years sorting grandchildren by blood. Within 6 months she was in a pleasant senior residence, nice grounds, activities, but no captive audience to rank. She still mails holiday cards to my husband and his siblings. Matteo's name never appears. We recycle them unopened. Matteo now has the entire guest house as his robotics and gaming lab. Bright LEDs. Workbenches. A 3D printer where he builds inventions no one dismisses. He no longer waits for approval. He engineers it. Holidays ours again. No hierarchies. No true grandchildren. Just people who show up with open hearts and equal gifts. Some nights I still hear that plastic watch phrase in my head. I still see Matteo's careful hands setting it aside. And every time, I remind myself, justice doesn't always thunder. Sometimes it just changes the locks. And lets the healing fill the space that's finally, truly yours. If you've ever shielded your child by shutting a toxic door, type I guarded my peace below. Like, subscribe. These stories of mothers drawing the line might be the courage you need today.